Hey, what's up? This is Jason Drone. Welcome to GSD Daily, number 73. This is this is probably my favorite number. Actually, I think 99 is my favorite number. So maybe we'll have a party when we get to episode 99, but 73 is near and dear to my heart. Is my high school football number. Not that means a damn thing, other than, I don't know. It's just a cool number. So anyway, today we're going to continue on our fuck ups and failures week and talk about some of the things that I've done wrong and continue to kind of struggle with, on a day-to-day basis, just because when you are in business for yourself and when you do your own thing, it's really easy to go on tangents. It's easy to go down a path that doesn't yield any results. And it's really easy to trick yourself into the delusion that this is the path that you need to travel. So Monday we talked about not giving offers enough time to mature, to grow, to build, to scale, to, get traffic and start showing results. And then yesterday, we talked about failure and failing fast and why when you fail fast, you are able to scale more quickly, and how every day we end up having, multiple failures, some of them big, some of them small, some of them are just simple, ad variations that don't work, and some of them are much larger, So today I want to talk about something called focus. Focusing on one thing. Now, so all of us as business owners, we have this kind of sense of entrepreneurial ADD, or ADHD. Basically, we always think we need to do something else, reinvent the wheel, go in a different direction. I recognize it in our clients all the time. I recognize it in myself all the time. There's always new ideas and new things and new ways to go. So in preventing against that, the entrepreneurial ADD, I printed out this poster that I designed it and I printed it out and I hang it in the office. You've seen it before, but basically it is this. So if you chase two rabbits, both will escape. And and the reason I take it down and put it back up is just, it's kind of like the same thing like banner blindness. So I always try to make sure to, move it around the office, move it around like my office in the media room, which is right outside, so that, we get a little bit of so that I don't get banner blind to it. But the reality is that all of us, we have a lot of different priorities. We have a lot of different things. And inside this book, so there's a book that I read back in 2017. So how I read, when I go through books, written books at least. So the book we're going to talk about is The One Thing, there, by Gary Keller. And what I do is I write down the date that I wrote, that I read this in. So there it is. 2017 is when I wrote it or read it. And then I took notes in 2019. So this is 3 years ago. And basically, when I go through and read a book, this particular one, I went through and underlined a bunch of passages that I thought were interesting. A lot of times what I'll do is I'll go through and highlight them. And then I'll take notes, like a college student would, going through, and that way I can just scan through stuff. I can search it, I can find something. And there are things that I'll read something in 2017, 2018, and then I will learn something new about it. And then I'll read through I'll just search my notes and see where I originally learned about it. I actually just happened, there was a book, well, I talked about it earlier, but a book called Super Better, which was talking about the vagal nerve. And I didn't know, it wasn't until I was listening to an Audible book, but in this Audible book, he was talking about how the vagal nerve is responsible for goosebumps. So if you are doing like yoga, or you're kind of like in flow, you're in a a certain state and you get goosebumps, it is it is because of the vagal nerve. And the vagal nerve is actually the stronger the vagal nerve, the less you get sick, the more aware you are, like all that stuff. It gets kind of weird, but ultimately it was, where are your synapses is connecting your brain. You know what I mean? It's like, oh shit, okay, I got it. So anyway, the one thing. So this particular phrase jumped out at me when we're thinking about focus, thinking about, divergent paths, thinking about, chasing two rabbits, basically. So the one thing becomes difficult because we've unfortunately bought into too many others. So the one priority that you have in your life, or the one priority that you have in your business, it is difficult oftentimes to continue moving towards that one thing because there's so many other things you say yes to. There's so many other commitments that you have in your life, so I literally, so just a little bit of kind of why I do what I do now. 6 years ago, I started building sales funnels for clients, and it was very much a need thing. So basically, I put on this webinar. I didn't necessarily have anything to sell at the end, but I knew that I wanted to help businesses, so this webinar, ended up, the call to action on the webinar was to sign up for a sales call or sign up for a call with me. And I didn't even have anything to sell, so on that call, it became very apparent very quickly that people needed help from a tech standpoint, from a setup standpoint, from a sales funnel standpoint. And I knew that I was uniquely qualified to help fill that need. So that is literally what I did. So this was, 6 years ago. And since then, we have worked with, hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of companies around the world doing marketing for them, setting up sales funnels, doing ads and all that other stuff. That has always been the primary focus. Now, where I have fooled myself in the past is then I started building software. So I started building Scriptly. I started building Curately and, Axis and all of these other software applications. And basically, the justification that I was making to myself at the time was, I'm building the software so my team can fulfill better, and I'm building the software to sell it down the road. And one of those pieces of software worked really well, Scriptly. It still works really well. I mean, it still sells really well. Like, we have a lot of users who love it. That Axis was born out of Scriptly, but the thing is there was so many other failed ADD focused priorities between, like Scriptly and between like the service side and whatever. So what I found myself splitting focus on was, I have this service side, which builds fucking great sales funnels, writes great copy, fulfills works like a well-oiled machine. And I have the software side with the developers and all of that other stuff, but they're two very different business models, so they come together, yes, because our software side, informs the service side, and the service side informs the software side. But at the same time, it's two different focuses. Literally, it's two different priorities. It's two different hats, so I have the agency side and then I have like the software side. So looking in my past, where I have failed miserably, the times that I've cycled and gone down and all of a sudden it's like you're looking up thinking, what the fuck happened, was always because my focus was on the thing that it shouldn't have been. It was always because my focus was on a priority that didn't matter. And even though I realize that, and even though I'm saying this, I know that it will happen again in the future. Not because I want it to, but because, we're human beings. And oftentimes we will move in a direction we shouldn't. We will get, invested in something that we shouldn't. We will spend time doing something we shouldn't, even though it's not necessarily in the best interest. So the thing is you need to have systems and processes in place so that even if you have focus somewhere else, you aren't necessarily sacrificing anything. The processes and everything play out, so what that means is you have to get to the point in your business where you were an investor. Basically you're working above the business, not on the business, not in the business, but above the business. Then you have liberty to focus on other things. But if you are working in the business or on the business and you're focusing in two different directions, then there's no way you're going to, hit the target that you want to. Even if those things do inform each other, so that's just, kind of one of those things that, in that focus, it can be attention, it can be attention, it can be, investment, it can be money, it can be, wherever, you need to put the focus in your number one priority. One of the things I love about this book, and I paged through it before getting on this call, but one of the things I loved about it was basically you can't have a first priority, second priority, third priority, or you can't have a list of 3 top priorities. Priority literally means the one most important thing. So if your priority is selling your courses or selling your coaching program, then literally that is the only thing that you should be worried about and consumed with. How do I sell more of my coaching? That's it. Not how do I get more ebook sales, not how do I add more blog posts, not how do all of those things inform the coaching sales, of course, but the question in all of it is how do I sell more coaching? So you don't go through the motions when you create content and you do podcasts and all that other stuff. Everything you do needs to have that one singular focus in mind, which is selling more coaching or putting more people into a mastermind or selling more digital products or whatever. Only then will what you do actually translate into more coaching clients. But if you are focused on, growing, a business over here, and then you're also focused on growing, like an e-com product line over here, then without putting people in place and without putting systems in place on either side, then inevitably both are going to fall apart because you're focusing in 2 different directions. One of the other things about this book that I really enjoyed was this fact. So especially now with the pandemic and with coronavirus and everything else, we like to think of this idea, work-life balance. And I think work-life balance is a very romantic thing. I think it would be great if we were able to put in, 4, 5, 6 hours worth of work, and then we were able to go off and live our personal life. There's a much more useful concept that Tony Robbins teaches, and I don't know if he originated it or what, but I heard of it from Tony Robbins, but that was work-life integration. So basically it was integrating your work and your life, together so that both are stronger for it. So that might be answering emails on a Saturday, and that might mean, playing with the kids on a Monday afternoon, but basically there's another concept called the 7-day weekend, which I don't know where that book is. All my books are out there. I should just take you with me out there. But the 7-day weekend isn't a 7-day weekend. It isn't how to live a 7-day weekend. It's actually how to bring your work into the weekend so that you can live more throughout the week. Also a very interesting and novel idea. But basically what he says in this is, you need, in order to prioritize one thing in your life, which is growing, let's say $100 million business. If you're growing $100 million business, then there are other things in your life that will be out of whack. Like you're not going to have the personal life that, people who are just worried about making 60 grand a month or 60 grand a year in salary. You're most likely, you're going to be faced with different challenges, different problems, different, you're going to be coming up with different solutions. You're going to be, needing to travel. So there's lots of ways that your life is going to be out of balance because you're looking to do something that is so outsized and unordinary, or extraordinary, I should say. That doesn't mean you shouldn't go after it. That just means that you need to accept the fact that to be the person who has a $100 million business, you need to do the things that a $100 million business owner does in order to have the $100 million business, so, and that's really all there is to it, so work-life integration, focus on one thing, prioritize one thing at a time. And then also, make sure that you recognize that there's only so much willpower in a day, so go after do the hardest thing first in the morning. Wake up a little bit earlier, write that blog post, write the article, make sure that everything you're focusing on growing your business, but do the hardest thing first. And I think that's about it for today. So prioritize, do cool stuff, sell shit. And if you have any questions, let me know. Just go to doneforyou.com/start, fill out the little action plan form, and we will put together, an action plan, which in this case is going to be your systems and stuff to help you grow. And I'll talk to you soon. All right. Thanks.